flying high at 60,000 feet, on the very cusp of outer space. He is strapped in and ready to dive bomb the pernicious peddlers of the pornographic politic. So run for cover. It's the Fred Dryer Radio Show. Incoming! And now, here is your host, Fred Dryer.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Great to be with you. It's been a long, hot weekend over here. We welcome you with open arms. Thanks so much for joining us and for sitting in with us and going through this next hour, wherever you might be. Thanks so very much. I'm here with my good friend Michael Horn, who's strapped in and ready.
Aye, sir.
Are you ready to dive bomb the pernicious peddlers of the pornographic politics?
Yes.
I haven't said that in a long time. And I look at the altimeter of the great beast.
What do we got?
And we're wailing. We're at 71,089.
71,089. You know, it's amazing. Last week we were at 68,089. So that 089 you've kept standard and you've just gone up.
Well, it's luck. It's luck. If you notice, all the last three digits are always 089.
Is that really true?
Yes,
089. So it's 71,089.
Go back through the archives. I'm going to go back through the archives right this very minute.
Let me tell you something about those archives. How about
that
baseball DL list? So we got anybody come off the DL yet, or do we have more people still on the?
No, there's more on, actually.
There is more on?
Yeah, there's more on. There's more on.
So a player signs, here's the way it works in baseball. A player gets their lucrative multi-year deal, and they are guaranteed the money whether they play or not. And if they get on the DL, it's kind of like being on vacation. They still get paid, and they're on the DL, right?
Yeah, once you sign in baseball, once you sign a contract, it's all guaranteed. And once you sign it, you're free at any time you want to grab your hamstring and limp to the buffet line.
So you can do that?
Yeah, it's legal now.
Can they still eat the buffet and everything while they're on the road?
Yeah, you have buffet privileges 24/7.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like being on a cruise.
So let me ask you, the Dodgers, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Los Angeles Angels spent a lot of money on free agents to get their teams really together, and both of them are hanging out near the cellar most of the season. What's the deal there?
Well, you know, in horse racing, they call horses who break to the front,
right,
and then fall back into the crowd. You know,
right.
They call them chi-eyed.
They call them what?
Chi-eyed.
Chi-eyed?
Yeah.
Chi-eyed, whoopie-tie?
Yeah, it's chi-eyed.
Chi-eyed.
Chi-eyed means the horse refuses to go to the front.
So this is a team
the Dodgers and the Angels.
They're chi-eyed.
Yeah, they're more comfortable. By the way, I've got a interesting thing for you listeners out there, you sports fans out there.
What do you have?
I'm sure there's many of them.
What do you have?
Is that the phenomena, I know you've all followed this, the phenomena when someone like Albert Pujols and C.J. Wilson and Gonzalez and Ramirez and all the other Gonzalezes, everybody whenever they sign huge contracts as free agents, go to another team,
right, and
they take a dump.
Yes.
A lot of this stuff, that what happens is this: most players, because leadership is rare. We're gonna miss this. I'm gonna have to carry this over.
Are you gonna have to carry it over?
I'm gonna have to carry it over, but it's really interesting.
Okay, good. So you're gonna hold on. It's a tease.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to it. It's a tease.
This is a tease.
It's an interesting tease, but it's very interesting about what happens to players, and I can explain why.
Money.
I can explain why these guys take a dump. So whatever you do, folks, welcome to the show.
Speaking of taking a dump.
Oh yeah. Welcome to the show. We're just getting started here. Got a whole hour here with you, so please don't go away.
It's the Fred Dryer program, the PM show with Fred Dryer, weekend edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. You can email Fred incoming@crni.net. That's incoming@crni.net. Follow him on Facebook, facebook.com/The Real Fred Dryer. We're here every week, so don't miss the show. We got more fun straight ahead. It's the PM Show, weekend edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. I'm Michael Horn, along with the star of our program, the one and only Mr. Fred Dreyer.
Now, this is an observation. It's empirically true.
Baseball players.
Yes, and athletes in general. Why, do you ask, do these guys, some of these guys, once they're rewarded for great deeds on the field,
They're past. They had great careers, and then they get this lucrative multi-year deal, which is basically being a payment for them in their past glories.
Yeah, there you go. And so what happens when people are given money? What happens is the spotlight comes to them. Now remember, the psyche of sports is, to my view, what I've observed and have experienced, and what I've seen, what I've discussed with people, great athletes I've had this conversation with. You can't believe the amount of people I've talked to about this stuff. And that is this. What happens when you reward a great athlete for great deeds on the field and suddenly they just kind of fall by the wayside? Why can't Ethier, why can't all these guys who have been rewarded all these contracts,
right?
Why can't they perform? Why can't they
what happens to them?
why can't they just be inspired and leap to the front and be greater than they could ever possibly be? And I think it's this. The psyche of sports is there's a comfort zone in team sports. Individual sports, tennis, golf are different, but team sports, it's interesting. There's an interesting psyche that goes along with it, and that is, I'm comfortable hiding within the group. I'm comfortable doing whatever it is I do in the group. I don't want to be the leader. I don't want the press coming to me in the locker room. I don't want to be the focal point. I don't want the spotlight to shine on me. I don't want the responsibility of handling all of that and then being uncovered and being disturbed in my own bathwater, my own comfort zone of emotions and inner thinkings and ego and narcissism and all these other things that go into it. And I say narcissism because it's extremely important to the individual psyche to perform from narcissism. And so once you reward people for their great deeds, let's take baseball.
Right.
You give Ethier $15 million a year. You give all these other guys a lot of money, and they don't perform. And that's because the weight of the responsibility has forced them out of the pack to the front as leaders. If they're paying you that amount of money, whether you like it or not, your role with the team changes. And many players don't understand that until they start cashing the checks and people start talking about them. Hey, Andre, you struck out 3 times here with guys on second and third, and with one out, nobody out, and you're the last out with the bases loaded. Those types of things like that.
That was Albert Pujols.
Well, that's everybody.
Right.
You can.
But you're right. It's like there's an unknown pressure that comes on them because now they're being paid, and so everybody says, "Hey, you're getting paid $9,000 every time you take a swing. You better get a hit."
Yeah, that's correct. And the key is you're unwittingly, you're surprised, you're shocked that suddenly you've got the whole world in your bedroom.
Yeah.
You've got everybody in your comfort zone.
Everybody's looking at you.
Everybody now is in an area where you don't want them to be because you've been rewarded with this money for this deed. That's what's happening to the Angel pitchers. That's what's happening to Pujols. That's what happened to all these. Now you say, well, Pujols was successful in St. Louis. But that was that little cocoon that he was in. He was comfortable in that. He was great doing that, and he is a leader. So he comes to a new team, and it's this shock of adjustment in order to see himself, for his own ego and his own psyche, to see himself in a different situation that he's not accustomed to, that he's now going to have to fit in and create that space for himself while the world is sitting there at his locker.
Yeah, I think they should have shrinks, seriously, on teams. For example, The one exception to this, on the most part, is the New York Yankees. When you're playing with the Yankees, there's just a whole mental thing there. You're at the Big Apple. It's the Yankees. It's the Pinstripes. There's just that brand name that goes. It seems like those players will come, or maybe it's their management that picks the right kind of players there. But a guy like Pujols, you mentioned, was big kingpin with St. Louis, Midwest. He comes to L.A. He's on a team. He's Hispanic. He's got a Hispanic owner. He's a lot of Hispanics in L.A. Now he's got to perform, and all of a sudden he's just falling apart. They need a shrink to talk to these guys to bring him back.
I really don't disagree with you. And what's interesting, when I was playing with the Rams, I don't. Please bear with me. This is not about me, but it's just an experience that I share. That I had the good fortune to kind of have experienced and been a part of. In playing football, we had a guy that was a kicker. He kicked 60-yard field goals in practice. I mean, he kicked 60-yard field goals in practices.
All the time.
All the
consistently.
time. Now, here come the game. We were in New England. We were in New England one day, and you know, it's in the fourth quarter, about 4 minutes left in the game, and we need 3 points.
Yeah.
We're on the 16-yard line.
Yeah.
I walk over to him and I said, "Hey, don't screw this up."
You said that to him?
Yeah.
No, you didn't
I did.
say that. Why?
I did. It was a joke. It was a joke. And he shanked it.
You caused Frank, what was his name?
No, I'm not saying his name.
I know
I'm
his name was.
No, I don't think you do.
I think I do.
No, you can't.
I can't remember his last name.
But I'll tell
Cost
you.
us a Super Bowl.
No, but I mean, no, not that guy. Well,
But,
Frank, I was standing next to Frank when he jerked that thing.
Oh,
in
that
the
one.
Super
This is
Bowl.
a different
And there was
guy?
3 guys who I knew had a gun on them, who were gamblers.
So this is a different
that
guy?
were yelling at Frank Corral at the Super
Frank
Bowl,
Corral.
and they were saying, "You're dead. You're dead. After this game, you're dead, Tubby. We're gonna get you." And I looked at Frank, and Frank was just kind of, "Oh, gee." I went down. I said, "Oh man, I don't want to be anywhere near you."
Don't be near the bus.
I went down the other end of the field.
So this was not Frank Corral. It's a different kicker.
No, this is a different guy.
And you caused this guy a head case.
I didn't cause him to do anything. I just walked up to him and was getting ready to kick it. You know, and Chuck Knox says, "Let's go, tie it up. Let's go." And he looked at the guy and he went, "Oh, okay." And the kick and our special team coach, you know Elijah Pitts, what a great guy he was. You know, he comes over, "All right, let's go. Here's a kicking team. Let's go. Maximum protection. Let's go. Max left. And they're going to block right, so we're going to max protection left." We went out there, 16-yard field goal, and just as he got ready to go on the field, I said, "Hey, don't screw this up."
Thank you,
He
Frank.
jerked that.
Thank you very much. Fred comes out
16 yards. That's 26 yards, by the
there.
way.
Did the guy ever play again?
Yeah, but poorly. But what happened was, the beauty was, is there was a 26-yard field goal. You know,
Well, you promised you'll never talk to anybody on our staff here at
16-yard
CRN,
line.
especially me.
the
Give me
ball was
words of
placed
encouragement.
on the 16-yard line, and he jerked it. And so it was all over with, and I went, "Holy smoke!" I just felt crazy, and there was 2
It's
guys.
crazy.
There was 2 guys standing next to me, and just looked at me. He said, "What'd you say that for?"
What'd you tell him that for?
I said, "I don't know. It just came out of my, it just came out. I was rooting for him, I got on the airplane with him, and it's a good thing those windows don't open."
He was the guy Shatner saw in the wing in the Twilight Zone, right?
Exactly
He
who it
he
was.
wanted to get out.
He was crawling out onto the wing to kill himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough.
We're at 71,089 feet, not inches above the surface of the earth, folks. We're keeping an eye on it for you down there. It's wild out here.
It is. And when we come back, I have a quote from Don Mattingly.
Let me get my pen so I can write it down.
I think it's going to be helpful after this.
I got some more smart things you want to hear about. I got some things here, smart facts you might want to know about. And there's some things here going on with your right foot you may not want to know about.
Maybe the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Los Angeles Angels will hire you to give words of encouragement.
Let me tell you
to the locker
something.
room.
They would go a long way to helping that franchise if they hired the baby over here, to come out to Dodger Stadium and go into that locker room and clean house.
The one and only Fred Dreyer. It's the PM show on CRN. PM show, weekend edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. I'm Michael Horn, the star of our show. Football legend, acting, stage, screen, television legend, Mr. Fred Dreyer.
I'm going through my stuff, folks. I'm always, something that my biggest fear in life, Mike,
What is your biggest fear?
not being prepared.
I agree. You should always be prepared, and that's why I have a quote from Don Mattingly for today's show. He says, he's the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, former Yankee great. He remains confident that the Dodgers are going to put together a winning streak and pull themselves out of the doldrums.
Yeah, I'm worried now.
Well, that's a positive statement.
I'm really worried now.
So he says, we haven't, this is what he said, it's been kind of the same story. We haven't been able to win a series. We got to win. We got Zach going. We got a chance to win a series, and we weren't able to get it done.
Yeah, exactly right. When questionable people make bold, optimistic statements, it worries me.
Well, I think they might turn it around then now since he's finally spoken.
I'm sure they're going to turn it around.
What would you do if you were hired by the Dodgers or the Angels or any other team that's struggling? The Chicago White Sox seem to be struggling this year. Toronto's not doing that well. Milwaukee's surprisingly not doing well. They got a lot of people out of that free agent market. Miami is tanking. What would you do if you came into those teams and tried to help them out?
Here's the first thing I'd do. Take all the bubble gum out of the locker room.
Is there a lot of bubble gum in the locker room?
Sunflower seeds, bubble gum, all of it out.
All of it goes away.
And every time you lose, the entire team lines up on the right field and runs to the left field line. You do that until I tell you to stop.
Keep back and forth running.
You run back and forth, and while the people are filing out, laughing because you've just been defeated.
Oh, you do it while the
right there before I take a shower and get on the bus. I'd run these guys from sideline to sideline, just like we used to do when we had a coach.
On the Rams?
A wrestling coach when I was in high school.
Oh, in high school.
Frank, Mr. Haltom.
Mr. Haltom?
Mr. Haltom. I don't know if he's still with us or not, but God bless him. He was a beauty. Lawndale High School would wrestle Aviation High School.
Right.
And they were like a couple of miles away. We wouldn't take the bus. He would meet at behind the gym, and he would put sweats on everybody's hoods. And they would march, and they would run double time all the way to the school, and then wrestle the school, and then run back.
And how far away was the school?
A couple of miles.
So they'd have to run to the other school.
2 miles.
2 miles.
Just to loosen it up, tie these guys in knots, and then run back.
And would they be pretty intense?
We had a good high school wrestling team.
You did?
And Mr. Haltom was not out of breath after this run.
He was the team. He would run too with the team.
He would be the leader.
So he'd lead everybody.
You see the difference that I'm talking about here?
That's it.
You see the difference?
There's a difference because now he's with the team.
Now here's the other thing.
Gets the respect of the players.
Yes, I like Don Mattingly. I do like
him too.
I like my neighbor too, but he's not going to coach the Rams or the Dodgers. But the point is, the other thing I would do. You asked me what I would do. I would also sit down with Don Mattingly and I would say, look, Don, you got to stop being this coach's, this team, the players' manager. You got to stop doing that.
But they all feel like they got to be a player's manager because the players make more than they do.
There's a difference, a fine line in true leadership. If people who have teams that have never been coached by real leaders know leadership when they see it.
So let me ask you a question.
I just want you to soak this in for a minute.
I'm soaking it.
Teams that have never seen leadership know it when they see it.
Okay,
because it's a human element.
Why is it then that management above, let's say, the manager, because they pay such big dollars to many of the players, sometimes don't back their manager because the manager should be able to, even if you're making $1 billion, say, sit down, you stink, I'm not playing you till you get better, or I run you or whatever. They can't do that because then the player goes and says, hey, you're making all this money and you're not playing me. And complains to the general manager, the president of the team or whatever, and it causes problems. How would you handle that situation?
I'll tell you something else. I would tell the team, you got any problems at all, you talk to me. You don't go upstairs. You don't go above my head.
It's good.
And you talk to me. And you're going to do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it. And if I want you to bunt and you're making $18 million a day, you're going to bunt. If you don't bunt, I'll put your ass on the bench until you learn what the word bunt means. And I'll send you down. I'm going to send you down to AAA Pawtucket, maybe AA Pawtucket, and have them teach you to bunt
so you would
for
make
the
that
next
threat
2
to
months,
Albert
and there'll be no buffet for you.
You would tell Albert Pujols.
I'll tell Albert Pujols, you get your saddle and your donkey, and you get down to Pawtucket there and learn how to bunt. And if you don't know what leadership is, I'm going to give you a book. I'll give you a book, and you'll learn what leadership is. And then you'll be around me, and then I'll show you what leadership is.
PM Show Weekend Edition. That's the one and only Fred Dryer. Email Fred incoming at crni.net. It's the PM Show Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. Once again, the star of our show, the one and only Mr. Fred Dryer.
Yes, sir. Forgive me. I was going through my archives.
You have a lot of archives there, and you look at you love baseball because you played baseball in high school and college, and then when you injured your arm, you went into football.
Right.
When you're playing baseball or football, and the game is on the line, as you mentioned, you screwed up that kicker by telling him, "Don't screw this up."
Didn't mean to do that.
But I know. But how do you can get yourself into the game? You can get your head into the game so that you tune out the crowd, and you know it's your job, and you know what you got to do. What do you do to get yourself prepare? You always say it's your biggest worry.
You got to be prepared. Yeah, you have to know what you're doing, and you don't really know what kind of day it's going to be until actually it starts to unfold. And I was very superstitious, and I am to this very day. I light incense, in the car on the way over.
You
here.
do?
No.
Just give me a break. You're Albert Pujols, okay? You get a big deal contract formerly with the St. Louis Cardinals. You're now playing with the Angels. The Angels, let's say, this happened recently. They were losing 6-1. All of a sudden, they come back against the Yankees, 6-5. The game, everybody's getting hit, the whole team. You come up, bases loaded. You're batting .256. It's like, come on. You're Albert Pujols making $10 million or more a year. What is the deal? I think the guy makes more than that, actually. And so how do you get your head into the game so that you get that hit instead of striking out like you did?
Well, you have to, again, you said these guys need a psychiatrist. I would ask people what it is that they're, why? Is there something with their eyesight? Are they preoccupied? Are they not focusing correctly? Are they frightened? Are they self-conscious? Did they used to fantasize? And this is a big part of athletics, fantasizing you making the big play, fantasizing you,
There you go.
in a great situation,
Wanting it.
projecting excellence into the future, and so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
There you go.
Right now,
You're imagining it.
Again, it goes to my premise, and I
like
I
this,
think
Fred.
I'm mostly correct about this. Thank you. Is what I'm mostly I think confident about is the fact that an athlete goes through different mental states. You have to find out what drives him. Myself, speaking for myself, I always knew that when I prepared for a game, I would watch film and I would look for matchups, and I'd look for the type of thing that I think that best suited me. I could kind of predict and dial in, I'm going to have a pretty good game today, whether it's at home or on the road. And sometimes I found that there was comfort for me individually playing against this team, this individual, this left tackle, and under these circumstances. And I said, gee, we're playing on AstroTurf. This really suits me well today because I think I can move this guy the way I want.
So you made it a positive thing.
So I would take an environment and create and list all of the great possibilities for me, and not think about anything else other than creating a vision in my head of me getting the opportunity to do great things at the right time. And sometimes that is interrupted. It's interrupted. And
by what?
It's interrupted by reality of life.
Right.
The sanctity of your own fantasy, of your own imagination, and of your own self. You have to really get in touch, as they say, with yourself, and understand what is it. What are the tools that I need to get the best out of myself? And that's one of the reasons that sometimes great players do not make great coaches. Because it's a complete different dynamic.
And can coaching or team management help you if they see that you're struggling some way and give you some sort of help or advice? For example, Albert Pujols, when he struck out with the bases loaded in the ninth inning after the Angels had scored 5 runs, they just needed one more to tie and have this great comeback against the New York Yankees. He struck out on a held-up swing. He's like the guy, when a guy like Albert Pujols is holding back on a swing and call it on strikes, that's like the worst thing that could happen to a big slugger like that. That tells me his head's all shot.
Well, you're not wrong, and I would, if I were, management or something. Maybe has already, but I would really start to think, what is it when he left St. Louis?
Comfort zone.
What did he leave in St. Louis?
Comfort zone.
That he
was loved.
That he didn't bring with him.
He was loved. It was Midwest. He was like, baseball is bigger there somewhat because it's a little bit, even though it's a huge town, it's a smaller town. Now he comes out to Los Angeles. He's got the big money. He's playing in Los Angeles. Marquee lights are on him, and he's got this team he's coming from, and all of a sudden he feels like he's got to be bigger than he is, and he starts believing his own press that he is Albert Pujols. It's like someone told me once, Elvis Presley's problem is once he believed he was Elvis, that's when it was over. Once you were Elvis and you're living in your family and your feet are grounded with your mama and your dad and whatever's going on, it's a lot different than when you start believing the press releases that are saying Elvis. All of a sudden, you're bigger than life, and if you believe it, you're screwed.
Now, here's something that you're correct. And again, I'm going to make this about me for a moment because
that's good.
I'm going to give you an analogy.
The PM show with Fred Dreyer. We wanted about you. Help us here.
Yeah. Well, here's
You've
what
lived
it is.
this stuff.
I had an opportunity to leave the Rams in '75.
You did.
Yeah, and I was a free agent, and I could have gone to many places, And one of the places was the New Orleans Saints for a lot of money.
A lot more money.
A lot of money. Guaranteed at the time.
Wow.
It's 1975.
Right.
Okay. So I weighed the deal, and I took less to stay with the Rams.
Why?
And my attorney said, you're leaving some money here on the table. This may be your last contract, which it was.
Right.
I said, yeah, I know that, and I weighed it all out. I weighed everything out, and and when I made the choice to come back to the Rams, stay with the Rams, it was based on the infrastructure, the comfort zone, what was familiar to me, where could I excel? Did I have the team around me to help me excel? Was the system that I wanted? Was everything the way I wanted? Or did I have to go someplace and fit in someplace else in a different city, playing on AstroTurf on a team that doesn't win and not be effectual? And so all those things come into play when you make decisions like that. And of course, I made clearly the right decision. And a lot of these athletes are having a tough time. I don't think a lot of them have a lot of people they can talk to.
Let's talk a little bit more about that straight as we continue on the PM Show Weekend Edition with the one and only Fred Dreyer. Welcome back to the PM Show Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio, the star of our show, one and only Fred Dreyer.
Welcome to segment 5 of our hour-long show. I got to tell you something, Mike. We go through hours like I go through salmon at night.
I love salmon. I'm with you on that. All right, let me ask you a question because you've been talking a little bit and you've been shedding some light on things. You mentioned in your career playing football with the Rams, 1975, could be your last year and it turned out to be your last big contract. You had a chance to leave the Rams and go to many other teams, one of which was the New Orleans Saints for more money. Now, you said you weighed all the options. Approximately, like how much money would you say was left on the table when you said that you could have signed?
About $600,000.
So about $600,000. So for $600,000 more, you got to uproot your family, move to a strange town, probably, right? At least because you're going to be playing in New Orleans. You're going to live there.
Live in Metairie someplace.
Your whole family gets uprooted. Cost of living probably different, I'm guessing, in New Orleans and Los Angeles.
Yeah, but those were secondary issues.
But for when you take the amount of money you're going to get, that's more. And weigh it against all that stuff. In addition to the most important, as you mentioned, the primary issues are you've been playing your career with the Rams. You know Rams football. You know your teammates are not going to trade away the whole team. You know how people act. You know how to respond. You know how to get the maximum out of this team because you've been there forever. That's why it's amazing to me that the teams don't at least match those dollars when they got a guy that knows their style of football. But you took less to stay there, and you were smart because you didn't come out of your comfort zone. You stayed at a place where you could now experience, no matter how much money they gave in, you were worth every dime that they paid you, but you knew how to play the game right there, and there was no undue pressure. And when the press picks up the story and says, hey, Fred Dreyer decided to take less money and stay with the Rams, you look like an all-out winner to the people that love you on your home team because they're going to say, hey, our guy took less money to stay with us. We love him. I think all that worked as your positive reinforcement in that decision. And the only person that makes more money when you take the extra $600 are the freaking agents. And this guy K-Rod, who was a relief pitcher with the Angels, when he went to the Mets for $1 million more because he wanted to get more dollars, his agent talked him into it, and he's out of baseball now, you said.
That's right.
He was a great closer, and New York booed him because he had terrible times and he had to move his family. He was an idiot for taking the extra million.
That's
he's out of the game.
Well, nobody counseled him about this issue,
and his agent should have, and the agents do not.
Do you know how many agents put athletes into bad deals by telling them it's the money, get the money, get the money?
I bet 90% of them.
And they don't know the value of money weighed against opportunity and what's best for them because they don't know what's best for them. But we had a system here in L.A. with a defensive system, and for 10 years, from all through the 70s and into the 80s, the Rams were the best defensive team for a decade because of the system that they ran.
Exactly.
And they plugged different players in and out of there. I was there for all those 10 years. And so I knew specifically what was best for me. I knew the system was correct. I knew I could excel. and I knew that whatever money I was being paid would literally be noticed as worth it. You get a lot of money and you go to a team that's of lesser quality and lesser system, and someone could say, you guys are still losing with this guy in the lineup, and you haven't really improved that much, and the guy's getting a lot of money. What are we paying him for? And that's the conversation that weighs on you. And so I didn't want anything to disturb what I wanted to get out of it. And the funny thing is that I made up that $600,000 on the back end of my contract.
Of course, because you could get special deals. Football.
No, I made up for it in spades. I mean, it was a great deal for me, and look. Everybody has to decide how they navigate and negotiate their career. We're all given a little rowboat at the beginning of the day to get across the treacherous oceans. And I may have a small boat, but my keel's deep, as they say. I'm built for deep water, and so when you look at yourself that way, you got to say, okay, I can pretty much go anywhere on this ocean, but does that mean I should be stupid and sail into storms? Does that mean just because I'm resilient and young and I want to get a lot of money, does that mean I got to leave here and go over there? No, it doesn't. So you have to be able to negotiate and know what's best for you. And when I see these players, sometimes it just jumps out at me. I watch games sometimes, and I can see in body language of football players who are lost. I see it.
You see it. You can watch the game and you can see because you play the game. I can see
certain things.
Now,
it just jumps out at me.
Here's the other thing. Management material, if you're going to be the coach in football or the manager in baseball, if I owned a team, I would not allow anyone to manage that team unless they had played in my organization, or if my organization was so terrible, I needed somebody that I thought had the wherewithal and the management skills to bring in an organization to make my team a winner. And that's what you're saying is I would hire someone like you because you played for the organization. You would be a great defensive coach to bring in there because you lived it and you played it and you knew what it was all about, and you may have ways of making it better. And I don't think the management, these owners, pay money to these guys. Like Mattingly, as soon as he came in, he never played Dodger baseball, didn't coach that much. So he didn't manage, and now he's having trouble managing a team.
Well, you either have it or you don't, and when we come back, I'll discuss what I would do with Don Mattingly right now, immediately, that might make a difference in the team and possibly save his job.
Straight ahead on the PM show, Weekend Edition with the one and only Fred Dreyer on CRN. Email Fred incoming at crni.net. PM show, Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. I'm Michael Horn, once again the star of our show, star of television, motion pictures, stage, everything in between, plus football legend Mr. Fred Dreyer.
Thanks so very much. I'm a gardener now, too, as well.
Are you really? An all-around gardener?
Yeah. I got a backyard now that's just begging me to come out and water it and to pick.
That's good.
I've been doing that, and it's really great for me, and it ruins my nails.
Have any trouble with the squirrels or rabbits back there?
No, not at all. We have an understanding.
Good, that's good.
We have an understanding. I don't chase them around with a shovel on the weekends,
right?
Embarrass them in front of their families, and they don't come down during the week and screw around with my plants.
That's very nice. That's good.
Yeah, but where were we?
You're going to give us some information on how to help Don Mattingly, manager of the Dodgers.
I'm sure you people have noticed this because you're sharp listeners. You're in tune to this show, and you know that what I'm about to tell you is absolutely a fact. Don Mattingly seems to be a good human being, which is wonderful. You always need those things in your organization. He's a terrific baseball player, so he has that experience. He's a little bit behind the curve. He's very young in his job description. He's very young in his managerial arc,
right?
As they would say. But if you want to hang in there with him, and you can do that. Now, one of the biggest things that he has to do, and he has not improved on it in the last 3 years he's been here, he must know how to talk to people. When the spotlight comes on him, and he's speaking with people, you take your hat off, you take your sunglasses off, you make sure you know your lighting, so you're not you have lighting that's above your head where it's making you squint, and you keep your hands off of your face. This guy is fidgeting with his face. He's picking his chin. He's strangling himself. He's picking his ears, and he's just nervous, and he stutters. He has a tough time articulating and organizing a thought and getting it out. He needs to listen a little bit better and demand better answers. Forgive me, demand better questions, and therefore he will give better answers. See, if I'm being talked to by the press every day for 160 plus games,
Yeah.
in the Dodgers, it's going to be 160 games. It's not going to be anything plus. But you're being talked to for 160 games. You have to have an arc through the season. You have to know as a manager how to talk when you're on a roll, when you're on a slump, when people are hurt, when they're on the DL, when you're disappointed, when you're happy. You have to understand the roster of circumstances that you have to deal with at any given time through that arc. You have to be ready for a disaster. You have to understand that your closer, when he blows a game, you have to know how to come to his attention, how to come to his aid, and put the right attention where it should be put, and help that guy, taking the pressure off of him until he can get these things squared away. But he has to learn how to address the media better. He has to learn that. He has to get that. He has to get that thing straightened out. Otherwise, he's going to look. He's going to look way underneath the job description, and that's what I want for him. And hopefully, when that gets straightened out, he feels a little bit better about it. People will respond to him better. Those things are connected. Don't think they aren't. They are. They really are connected, and it's all about learning and all these other things. But the Dodgers are what they are, and I don't expect too much from them. But you can always expect a lot from this show, folks. We've run out of time, and thank you, Michael Horn, for cleaning up over there. And,
I'm cleaning up. I remind everybody we're here Wednesdays live, 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. Replay throughout the weekends. Check it out. Email Fred Dryer incoming at crni.net. Check us on the web at crntalk.com. Final words from Fred Dryer.
Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you next time.